Jai Guruji, Shukrana Guruji. My name is Amarjeet Nanda and I am here to present to you our continuation of our journey, which is Autobiography of a Yogi. And so far we have already completed 3 days in this journey together, and I am deeply thankful that we made it so far, and we have lots of things to learn further. And today in our divine journey we are going to go through day number 4, where we are going to go through two of the most very interesting chapters, which actually help us understand why Yogananda Paramahansa ji went through various life experiences, and he would like to talk about the Levitating Saint, and of course one of India's and world's leading scientists who believed in plant related science, which is physics related, and who is Jagadish Chandra Bose. Having said that, I'd like to start today's journey by with a sincere gratitude to our dearest Guruji, and Om Namah Shivaya, Shivji Sada Sahai, Om Namah Shivaya, Guruji Sada Sahai. Chapter number 7, Autobiography of a Yogi, the Levitating Saint. I saw a yogi remain in the air several feet above the ground last night at a group meeting. My friend Upendra Mohan Chaudhary spoke impressively. I gave him an enthusiastic smile. Perhaps I can guess his name. Was it Bhaduri Mahasaya of Upper Circular Road? Upendra nodded, a little crestfallen not to be a news bearer. My inquisitiveness about saints was well known among my friends. They delighted in setting me on a fresh track. The yogi lives so close to my home, and I often visit him. My words brought keen interest to Upendra's face, and I made a further confidence. I have seen him in remarkable feats. He has expertly mastered the various pranayamas of the ancient eightfold yoga outlined by Patanjali. Our Bhaduri Mahasaya performed the Bhastrika pranayama before me with such amazing force that it seemed an actual storm had risen in the room. Then he extinguished the thundering breath and remained motionless in a high state of superconsciousness. The aura of peace after the storm was vivid beyond forgetting. I heard that the saint never leaves his home. Upendra's tone was a trifle incredulous. Indeed, it is true. He has lived indoors for the past 20 years. He slightly relaxes his self-imposed rule at the time of the holy festivals, where he goes as far as his front walk. The beggars gather there because Saint Bhaduri is known for his tender heart. How does he remain in the air, defying the law of gravitation? Okay, as you know, the name of the book is Levitating Saint. A yogi's body loses its grossness after use of certain pranayamas. Then it will levitate or hop about like a leaping frog. Even saints who do not practice a formal yoga have been known to levitate during a state of intense devotion to God. I would like to know more of this sage. Do you attend his evening meetings? Upendra's eyes were sparkling with curiosity. Yes, I go often. I am vastly entertained by the wit in his wisdom. Occasionally my prolonged laughter mars the solemnity of his gatherings. The saint is not displeased, but his disciples look daggers. On my way home from school that afternoon, I passed Bhaduri Mahasaya's cloister and decided on a visit. The yogi was inaccessible to the general public. A lone disciple occupying the ground floor guarded his master's privacy. The student was something of a martinet. He now inquired formally if I had an engagement. His guru put in an appearance just in time to save me from the summary ejection. Let Mukunda come when he will. The sage's eyes twinkled. My rule of seclusion is not for my own comfort, but for that of others. Worldly people do not like the candor which shatters their illusions. Saints are not only rare but disconcerting. Even in scripture, they are often found embarrassing. I followed Bhaduri Mahasaya to his austere quarters on the top floor, from which he seldom stirred. Masters often ignore the panorama of the world's ado, out of focus still centered in the ages. The contemporaries of a sage are not alone those of the narrow present. Maharishi, you are the first yogi I have known who always stays indoors. God plants his saints sometimes in unexpected soil, lest we think we may reduce him to a rule. The sage locked his vibrant body in the lotus posture. In his 70s, he displayed no unpleasing signs of age or sedentary life. So here a picture of Bhaduri Mahasaya on page number 65. It's mentioned the Levitating Saint, and I'd like to show it to you just for a good look at it. And then we further proceed, of course. Then he explains how the yogi actually looked. Stalwart and straight, he was ideal in every respect. His face was that of a rishi, as described in the ancient text. Noble headed, abundantly bearded, he always sat firmly upright, his quiet eyes fixed on omnipresence. Sir, I inquired, why do you not write a book on yoga for the benefit of the world? I am training disciples, he replied. They and their students will be living volumes, proof against the natural disintegrations of time and their unnatural interpretations of the critics. The saint and I entered the meditative state. After an hour, his gentle voice roused me. You go often into the silence, but have you developed Anubhava? He was reminding me to love God more than meditation. Do not mistake the technique for the goal. So, connecting with the devotion, connecting with Shraddha, connecting with Bhav, as Guruji used to say, okay, that is the true devotion. That is what Guruji always aspired and wanted from us, from his Guru Sangat. That we love him and connect with him in such deep state of meditation that we don't actually think that we have gone into a very serious world. It's a world of love. It's a world where we are felt accepted, and we are felt that this is where my Guru is waiting for me. I just need to close my eyes and connect with him and just keep walking on this divine path. He offered me some mangoes. With that good humoured wit I found so delightful in his grave nature, he remarked, people in general are more fond of Jala Yoga, which is union with food, than of Dhyana Yoga, which is union with God. Okay, his yogic pun affected me uproariously. What a laugh you have! An affectionate gleam came into his gaze. His own face was always serious, yet touched with an ecstatic smile. His large lotus eyes held a hidden divine laughter. Those letters come from far off America. The sage indicated several thick envelopes on a table. I correspond with few societies there whose members are interested in yoga. They are discovering India anew with a better sense of direction than Columbus. So, as I told you, this book is full of funny little lines. Okay, and so I am glad to help them. The knowledge of yoga is free to all who will receive like the ungarnishable daylight. What rishis perceived as essential for human salvation need not be diluted for the West. Alike in soul, though diverse in outer experience, neither West nor East will flourish if some form of disciplinary yoga be not practiced. So he's explaining the importance of yoga and why it is important for us to elevate ourselves and continue our day-to-day life. The saint held me with his tranquil eyes. I did not realize that his speech was a veiled prophetic guidance. It is now only as I write these words that I understand the full meaning in the casual intimations he often gave me that someday I would carry India's teachings to America. As we had read, come to know in the starting of this book, that Yogananda Paramahansa ji spent a significant amount of his time in the US, and there he also formed spiritual self-realization groups, and he has a massive fan following in the US, where he ultimately took samadhi. So this was in this book we will continuously keep on reading about it, that there were many saints who came into Yogananda's life who told that you are destined to go to America and spread the message of yoga, and there is no differentiation between the East and the West. So these have been told continuously in this book as we progress. Maharishi, I wish you would write a book on yoga for the benefit of the world. I am training disciples. They and their students will be living volumes, proof against the natural disintegration of time and the unnatural interpretations of the critics. Bhaduri's wit put me into another gale of laughter. I remained alone with the yogi until his disciples arrived in the evening. Bhaduri Mahasaya entered one of his inimitable discourses. Like a peaceful flood, he swept away the mental debris of his listeners, floating them Godward. His striking parables were expressed in a flawless Bengali. This evening, Bhaduri expounded various philosophical points connected with the life of Mirabai, a medieval Rajputani princess who abandoned her court life to seek the company of sadhus. Okay, one great sannyasi refused to receive her because she was a woman. Her reply brought him humbly to her feet. Tell the master, she had said, that I did not know there was any male in the universe save God. Are we all not females before him? A scriptural description of the Lord as the only positive creative principle, his creation being not but a passive maya. Mirabai composed many ecstatic songs which are still treasured in India. I translate one of them here. Okay. If by bathing daily God could be realized, sooner would I be a whale in the deep. If by eating roots and fruits he could be known, gladly would I choose the form of a goat. If the counting of rosaries uncovered him, I would say my prayers on mammoth beads. If bowing before stone images unveiled him, a flinty mountain I would humbly worship. If by drinking milk the Lord could be imbibed, many calves and children would know him. If abandoning one's wife would summon God, would not thousands be enough? Mirabai knows that to find the Divine One, the only indispensable is love. So, as we again go back to what Guruji always told, look for love in me, Rab nu pyar karo, daro mat. So, several students per rupees in Bhaduri's slippers, which lay by his side as he sat in a yoga posture. This respectful offering, customary in India, indicates that the disciple places his material goods at the Guru's feet. Grateful friends are only the Lord in disguise, looking after his own. Master, you are wonderful. A student taking his leave gazed ardently at the patriarchal sage. You have renounced riches and comforts to seek God and teach us wisdom. It was well known that Bhaduri Mahasaya had forsaken great family wealth in his early childhood, when single-mindedly he entered the yogic path. You are reversing the case. The saint's face held a mild rebuke. I have left a few paltry rupees, a few petty pleasures, for a cosmic empire of endless bliss. How then have I denied myself anything? I know the joy of sharing the treasure. Is that a sacrifice? The short-sighted worldly folk, we verily, the real renunciates. They relinquish an unparalleled divine possession for a poor handful of earthly toys. I chuckled over the paradoxical view of renunciation, one which puts the cap of croesus on any saintly beggar, whilst transforming all proud millionaires into conscious martyrs. The divine order arranges our future more wisely than any insurance company. This is true. The master's concluding words were the realized creed of his faith. The world is full of uneasy believers in an outward security. Their bitter thoughts are like scars on their foreheads. The one who gave us air and milk for our first breath knows how to provide day by day for his devotees. I continued my after-school pilgrimages to the saint's door. With silent zeal, he aided me to attain Anubhava. One day he moved to Ram Mohan Roy Road, away from the neighborhood of my Gurpur Road home. His loving disciples had built him a new hermitage known as Nagendra Mutt. Although it throws me ahead of my story by a number of years, I will recount here the last words given to me by Bhaduri Mahasaya. Shortly before I embarked for the West, I sought him out and humbly knelt for his farewell blessings. Okay, son, go to America. Take the dignity of hoary India for your shield. Victory is written on your brow. The noble distant people will well receive you. So with this, we come to the end of the chapter number 7, which is the Levitating Saint. And the essence of the story here is that a person who could renounce, who could detach worldly treasures despite coming from a wealthy family, and he could choose that my real wealth is where I connect with the cosmic director, where I am connected with the cosmic forces, which are the real wealth. And he concentrated on connecting with God, conducting yoga practices which led him closer to the divine. And with this we come to know that this is absolutely what Guruji also told us, that look for the real thing. असली चीज़ नू मुझे कोई मांगता ही नहीं है. So I think we should also look at imbibing these things in our day-to-day life, wherein we should look at measures and means to connect in a more simplistic and non-materialistic way with Guruji. Having said that, I'd like to proceed with chapter number 8, which is basically India's great scientist J.C. Bose, Jagdish Chandra Bose. Okay, he is known worldwide as a pioneer in plant centenology. He is one of those scientists who proved for the first time that plants do have electrons, protons, and they are subject to electrical waves. He was also a pioneer in microwaves. He invented a tool which is called crescograph. Okay, so we'll come to know about how Yogananda ji went and met him, and what were his journey insights. And in detail we'll try to find out what is the essence of this story. So welcoming you again into chapter number 8, which is India's greatest scientist J.C. Bose. Jagdish Chandra Bose wireless inventions antedated those of Marconi. Okay, as you know, Marconi was a great scientist, physicist to be specific. Overhearing this provocating remark, I walked closer to a sidewalk group of professors engaged in scientific discussion. If my motive in joining them was racial pride, I regret it. I cannot deny my keen interest in evidence that India can play a leading part in physics and not metaphysics alone. What do you mean, sir? The professors obligingly explained. Bose was the first one to invent a wireless coherer and an instrument for indicating the refraction of electric waves. But the Indian scientist did not exploit his inventions commercially. He soon turned his attention from the inorganic to the organic world. His revolutionary discoveries as a plant physiologist are outpacing even his radical achievements as a physicist. I politely thanked my mentor. He added, the great scientist is one of my brother's professors at Presidency College, which is located in Calcutta. I paid a visit the next day to the sage at his home, which was close to mine on Gurpar Road. I had long admired him from a respectful distance. The grave and retiring botanist greeted me graciously. He was a handsome, robust man in his 50s, with thick hair, broad forehead, and an abstracted eyes of a dreamer. The precision in his tones revealed the lifelong scientific habit. I have recently returned from an expedition to scientific societies of the West. Their members exhibited intense interest in delicate instruments of my invention, which demonstrate the indivisible unity of all life. The Bose crescograph has the enormity of 10 million magnifications. The microscope enlarges only a few thousand times, yet it brought vital impetus to biological science. The crescograph opens incalculable vistas. You have done so much, sir, to hasten the embrace of East and West in the impersonal arms of science. Okay, I was educated at Cambridge. How admirable is the Western method of submitting all theory to scrupulous experimental verification. That empirical procedure has gone hand in hand with the gift for introspection, which is my Eastern heritage. Together, they have enabled me to sunder the silence of natural realms, long uncommunicative. The telltale charts of my crescograph are evidence for the most skeptical that plants have a sensitive nervous system and a varied emotional life. Love, hate, joy, fear, pleasure, pain, excitability, stupor, and countless appropriate responses to stimuli are as universal in plants as in animals. So here there is a very simple photograph of Yogananda Paramahansa ji, and then J.C. Bose is also shown, who is the inventor of the crescograph. I'd like to show it to you. Okay, and it's on page number 71. The unique throb of life in all creations could seem only poetic, imaginary before your advent. Professor, a saint I once knew would never pluck flowers. Shall I rob the rose bush of its pride in beauty? Shall I cruelly affront its dignity by my rude divestment? His sympathetic words are verified literally through your discoveries. The poet is intimate with truth while the scientist approaches awkwardly. Come someday to my laboratory and see the unequivocal testimony of the crescograph. So he is now invited to join him. Gratefully, I accepted the invitation and took my departure. I heard later that the botanist had left Presidency College and was planning a research center in Calcutta. When the Bose Institute was opened, I attended the dedicatory services. Enthusiastic hundreds strolled over the premises. I was charmed with the artistry and spiritual symbolism of the new home of science. Its front gate, I noted, was a centuried relic from a distant shrine. Behind the lotus fountain, a sculptured female figure with a torch conveyed the Indian respect for woman as the immortal light bearer. The garden held a small temple consecrated to the Nomunian beyond phenomena. Thought of the divine incorporeality was suggested by the absence of an altar image. Bose's speech on this great occasion might have issued from the lips of one of the inspired ancient rishis. I dedicate today this institute as not merely a laboratory but a temple. His reverent solemnity stole like an unseen cloak over the crowded auditorium. In the pursuit of my investigations, I was unconsciously led to the border region of physics and physiology. To my amazement, I found boundary lines vanishing and points of contact emerging between the realms of living and the non-living. Inorganic matter was perceived as anything but inert. It was a thrill under the action of multitudinous forces. This is very important. A universal reaction seemed to bring metal, plant and animal under a common law. They all exhibited essentially the same phenomena of fatigue and depression, with possibilities of recovery and of exhaustion, as well as the permanent irresponsiveness associated with death. Filled with awe at this stupendous generalization, it was with great hope that I announced my results before the Royal Society. Okay, results demonstrated by experiments, but the physiologist present advised me to confine myself to physical investigations in which my success had been assured, rather than encroach on their preserves. I had unwittingly strayed into the domain of an unfamiliar caste system and so offended its etiquette. An unconscious theological bias was also present, which confounds ignorance with faith. It is often forgotten that He who surrounded us with this ever-evolving mystery of creation has also implanted in us the desire to question and understand. Through many years of miscomprehension, I came to know that the life of a devotee of science is inevitably filled with unending struggle. It is for him to cast his life as an ardent offering, regarding gain and loss, success and failure as one. In time, the leading scientific societies of the world accepted my theories and results and recognized the importance of Indian contribution to science. Can anything small or circumscribed ever satisfy the mind of India? By a continuous living tradition and a vital power of rejuvenance, this land has readjusted itself through unnumbered transformations. Indians have always arisen who, discarding the immediate and absorbing prize of the hour, have sought the realization of the highest ideals in life, not through passive renunciation but through active struggle. The weakling who has refused the conflict acquiring nothing has had nothing to renounce. He alone who has striven and one can enrich the world by bestowing the fruits of his victorious experience. The work already carried out in the Bose laboratory on the response of matter and the unexpected revelations in plant life have opened up very extended regions of enquiry in physics, in physiology, in medicine, in agriculture, and even in psychology. Problems hitherto regarding an insoluble have now been brought within the sphere of experimental investigation. But high success is not to be obtained without rigid exactitude. Hence, the long battery of supersensitive instruments and apparatus of my design, which stand before you today in their cases in the entrance hall, they tell you of the protracted efforts to get behind the deceptive, seemingly into the reality that remains unseen, of the continuous toil and persistence and resourcefulness called forth to overcome human limitations. All creative scientists know that the true laboratory is the mind, where behind illusions they uncover the laws of truth. Fantastic. The lectures given here will not be mere repetitions of second-hand knowledge. They will announce new discoveries demonstrated for the first time in these halls. Through regular publication of the work of the Institute, these Indian contributions will reach the whole world. They will become public property. No patents will ever be taken. The spirit of our national culture demands that we should forever be free from the desecration of utilizing knowledge only for personal gain. It is my further wish that the facilities of this institute be available so far as possible to workers from all countries. In this, I am attempting to carry on the traditions of my country so far back as 25 centuries. India welcomed to its ancient universities as Nalanda and Taxila. Scholars from all parts of the world, they traveled here and they studied, and those were the best times of India, which is depicted here. Although science is neither of the East nor of the West, but rather international in its universality, yet India is specially fitted to make great contributions. The burning Indian imagination, which can extort new order out of a mass of apparently contradictory facts, is held in check by the habit of concentration. This restraint confers the power to hold the mind to the pursuit of truth with an infinite patience. Tears stood in my eyes as the scientist's concluding words. Is patience not indeed a synonym of India, confounding time and the historians alike? I visited the research center again soon after the day of opening. The great botanist, mindful of his promise, took me to his quiet laboratory. I will attach the crescograph to this fern. This magnification is tremendous. If a snail's crawl were enlarged in the same proportion, the creature would appear to be travelling like an express train. My gaze was fixed eagerly on the screen, which reflected magnified fern shadow. Minute life-like movements were now clearly perceptible. The plant was growing very slowly before my fascinated eyes. The scientist touched the tip of the fern with a small metal bar. The developing pantomime came to an abrupt halt, resuming the eloquent rhythms as soon as the rod was withdrawn. You saw how any slight outside interference is detrimental to the sensitive tissues. Bose remarked, "Watch, I will now administer chloroform and then give an antidote." Okay. The effect of the chloroform discontinued all growth. The antidote was reviving. The evolutionary gestures on the screen held me more raptly than a movie plot. My companion, here in the role of villain, thrust a sharp instrument through a part of the fern. Pain was indicated by spasmodic flutters when he passed a razor partially through the stem. The shadow was violently agitated, then stilled itself with the final punctuation of death. By first chloroforming a huge tree, I achieved a successful transplantation. Usually, such monarchs of the forest die very quietly after being moved. Jagdish smiled happily as he recounted the life-saving maneuver. Graphs of my delicate apparatus have proved that trees possess a circulatory system. Their sap movements correspond to the blood pressure of animal bodies. The ascent of sap is not explicable on the mechanical grounds ordinarily advanced, such as capillary attraction. The phenomenon has been solved through the crescograph as the activity of living cells. Peristaltic waves issue from a cylindrical tube which extends down a tree and serves as an actual heart. The more deeply we perceive, the more striking becomes the evidence that a uniform plan links every form in manifold nature. The great scientist pointed to another Bose instrument. I will show you experiments on a piece of tin. The life force in metal responds adversely or beneficially to stimuli. Ink markings will register the various reactions. So now he is going to show one more experiment. Deeply engrossed, I watched the graph which recorded the characteristics waves of atomic structure. When the professor applied chloroform to the tin, the vibratory writing stopped. They recommended as the metal slowly regained its normal state. My companion dispensed a poisonous chemical. Simultaneous with the quivering end of the tin, the needle dramatically wrote on the chart a death notice. Bosch instruments have demonstrated that metals such as the steel used in scissors and machinery are subject to fatigue and regain efficiency by periodic rest. The life pulse in metals is seriously harmed or even extinguished through the application of electric currents or heavy pressure. I looked around the room at the numerous inventions, eloquent testimony of a tireless ingenuity. Sir, it is lamentable that mass agricultural development is not speeded by fuller use of your marvelous mechanisms. Would it not be easily possible to employ some of them in quick laboratory experiments to indicate the influence of various types of fertilizers on plant growth? You are right. Countless uses of Bose instruments will be made by future generations. The scientist seldom knows contemporaneous reward. It is enough to possess the joy of creative service. With expressions of unreserved gratitude to the indefatigable sage, I took my leave. Can the astonishing fertility of his genius ever be exhausted? I thought. No dominion came with the years, inventing an intricate instrument, the resonant cardiograph. Bose then pursued extensive researches on innumerable Indian plants. An enormous, unsuspected pharmacopoeia of useful drugs was revealed. The cardiograph is constructed with an unerring accuracy by which 1/100th part of a second is indicated on a graph. Resonant records measure infinitesimal pulsations in plant, animal, and human structure. The great botanist predicted that use of his cardiograph will lead to vivisection on plants instead of animals. Side by side recordings of the effects of a medicine given simultaneously to a plant and an animal have shown astounding unanimity in result. He pointed out, everything in man has been foreshadowed in the plant. Experimentation on vegetation will contribute to lessening of human suffering. Years later, Bose's pioneer plant findings were substantiated by other scientists. Work done in 1938 at Columbia University was reported by the New York Times as follows. It has been determined within the past few years that when the nerves transmit messages between the brain and other parts of the body, tiny electrical impulses are being generated. These impulses have been measured by delicate galvanometers and magnified millions of times by modern amplifying apparatus. Until now, no satisfactory method had been found to study the passages of impulses along the nerve fibers in living animals or man, because of the great speed with which these impulses travel. Doctors K.S. Cole and H.J. Curtis reported having discovered that the long single cells of the freshwater plant Nutella, used frequently in goldfish balls, are virtually identical to those of single nerve fibers. Furthermore, they found that Nutella fibers, on being excited, propagate electrical waves that are similar to in every way, except velocity to which the nerve fibers in plants, in animals and man. The electrical nerve pulses in the plant were found to be much slower than those in animals. This discovery was therefore seized upon by Columbia workers as means of taking slow motion pictures of the passage of electrical impulses in nerves. The Nutella plant thus may become a sort of Rosetta Stone for deciphering the closely guarded secrets close to the very borderland of mind and matter. Now there is a poem written by Rabindranath Tagore. The poet Rabindranath Tagore was a stalwart friend of India's idealistic scientist. To him, the sweet Bengali singer addressed the following lines: O hermit, call thou in the authentic words of that old hymn called Sama, rise, awake. Call to the man who boasts his sastric lore from vain pedantic wranglings profitless. Call to the foolish braggart to come forth out on the face of nature, this broad earth. Send forth this call unto thy scholar band. Together round thy sacrifice of fire, let them all gather. So may our India, our ancient land, unto herself return. O once again return to the steadfast work, to duty and devotion, to her trance of earnest meditation let her sit. Once more unruffled, greedless, strifeless, pure. O once again upon her lofty seat and platform, teacher of all lands. So this is the end of chapter number 8, which is India's greatest scientist J.C. Bose. And as we have learnt in this chapter today that plants do have an equal amount of stimuli when they are subject to different kinds of sensations, and how their measurements was done. So in this book, in this chapter, Yogananda ji has compared scientist J.C. Bose also to a sage, saying that the dedication and the beauty that he saw in his work, which is not just from the material world, but rather going one step further by making sure that he has the same theories which are also there for the plant life. These are also mentioned in a few books which was published by J.C. Bose later. But in a very simplistic way, what we have come to know is Yogananda ji has taught us in this book through his life journey that it is really simple to be simple, and to see the complex part of things, you just have to take the first simple step. That means you start walking towards it, and then slowly the light of divinity starts coming towards you. You feel happy, you have a smile in your heart all the time, even if you are not in a conversation with anyone. You don't look for external stimuli to keep yourself satisfied, to keep yourself happy and satisfactory all the time. You don't look for measures for people, or you don't look for things that are going to make you happy materialistically. Rather, the happiness lies within. So do continue connecting with Guruji with the same grace and honor that you have in your heart. And as we learnt in this chapter, it is important that miraculous feats performed by saints are not something that we should take as the essence of the story. The essence of the story is that the Almighty has the power to change everything. So with this little piece of hope, I'd like to say that we are all lucky that we are with our dearest Guruji, and he is the sole cosmic director who has gracefully chosen to enlighten us, to guide us, challenge us, motivate us, and basically make us believe that we too can feel loved. So with this, I'd like to end today's day number 4, and Jai Guruji, Shukrana Guruji. Please continue reading this divine book, and let the power of divinity come to you, and embrace it with all your energy that you have. And do talk about this book with your friends, colleagues, and philosophers and friends, whosoever you meet, because it is such a beautiful book that you will start to realize that it is not just meant for me. I can also talk about it with others as well. So Jai Guruji, Shukrana Guruji. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivji Sada Sahai. Om Namah Shivaya, Guruji Sada Sahai. Jai Guruji. Shukrana Guruji.